Hello everyone. Today we are discussing the topic interest on debentures. So far we were discussed about all the different types of issue of debentures, like issue of debentures at par, issue of debentures at premium, issue of debentures at discount, and issue of debentures on the point of view of redemptions and all those cases. When solving all those problems, we have seen that along with the term debenture, there was a percentage, certain percentage was given. Say 8% debentures, 10% debentures, 12% debentures, like that. So at that time, it was told that that percentage denotes the interest rate of debentures. That means when the public apply for the debentures, they expect certain interest for the savings or the interest for the amount given or lent to the company. That means company has to pay a certain percentage of interest to the debenture holders. So that is what is called the interest on debentures, that will be paid by the company to the debenture holders. Normally it will be paid half yearly. That means in a year 2 times it will be paid. And one more thing is that at the time when the company pay the interest to the debenture holders, company has to deduct a certain percentage of that interest as tax, that is called capital gain tax. That means that is the tax to be paid by the debenture holders to the government. But it will be deducted by the company and the company will pay that tax to the government on behalf of the debenture holders. So that tax deducted by the company for paying that to the government is called as TDS payable on interest on debentures. TDS payable. TDS means tax deducted at source. That means tax deducted at the source or at the place where the income generated. Here the income is interest. It is generated from the company. So company has to deduct the tax on that interest and should be paid to the government on behalf of the debenture holders. So that debenture holders need not pay. On behalf of the debenture holders, company will pay the tax to the government. So these things we have to remember. Now let us see how to prepare the journal entries or how to pass the accounting entries on interest on debentures. So here we are explaining this journal entries in two ways. One, when interest due or interest without considering the tax. That means here tax is ignored. Anyway, tax is to be paid by the debenture holders to the government, that is a must. But sometimes in the question, it may be given that tax can be ignored. You need not calculate the tax. If it is given in the question like that, that means tax need not be considered. So in that case, what will be the journal entry for interest due? Interest due on debentures. So the journal entry will be, we have to create an account called interest on debentures. So that interest on debentures account will be debited because it is an expense to the company. And this interest on debentures will be created and will be payable to the debenture holders. So the journal entry will be interest on debentures debtor to debenture holders. Here tax is ignored, tax is not considering. So in that case we will write the journal entry interest on debentures debtor to debenture holders. Instead of writing interest on debentures, you can write debenture interest account also. You can write either debenture interest account or interest on debentures debtor to debenture holders. This is the due entry for interest on debentures. So that means the journal entry at the time when the interest is due. Okay, then now what will be the journal entry for interest due if tax is considered? If we consider the tax, what will be the journal entry? So the journal entry we will write like this. Same way, interest on debentures account debtor to debenture holders. Interest on debentures debtor to debenture holders to TDS payable. TDS we have told that TDS means tax deducted at source. Tax deducted at source. Okay. So if tax is asked to be deducted, you have to credit TDS payable account also. Understood? For example, interest on debenture is 10,000. Interest on debenture is 10,000. So first journal entry you can write the interest on debenture account at 10,000. Then TDS payable is 10%. 10% is the TDS payable. So for credit you have to write TDS payable as 1,000. That means 10% of 10,000. And the 9,000 will be written against debenture holders account. Okay, this is very simple. So in that way we have to write. Then what will be the journal entry when interest is paid? When interest is paid, we will pass the journal entry like this. We have here debenture holders account. For the debenture holders, we have to pay the money. So debenture holders account debtor to bank. That will be the journal entry. Debenture holders account debtor to bank account. Okay. So now interest is paid to the debenture holders after deducting the TDS payable. Okay. So we have TDS payable with us. This we have to pay to the government. For that we have to pass the next journal entry. And the next journal entry we will write like this: when the TDS is deposited in government's account. The journal entry will be TDS payable account debtor to bank. Okay. So that is the journal entry. And after that, at the end of the year, we will prepare profit and loss account. The profit and loss account of a company is called as statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss. And in that statement of profit and loss, this will be shown as an expense. This will be shown as an expense in the statement of profit and loss under the head finance cost. Finance cost. There will be various headings in the statement of profit and loss that we will study at the time when we will be discussing about financial statements of a company. So at that time we will discuss in detail what are the various account heads in the statement of profit and loss. So in that statement of profit and loss, one head is finance cost, and under that head we have to show the interest paid to the debenture holders. So at the end of the year we have to transfer the amount to statement of profit and loss. So for that we will write the journal entry like this. That means on transfer of amount to the statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss means profit and loss account of the company. The journal entry will be statement of profit and loss debtor to debenture interest on debenture holders or interest on debentures. Okay. So this is the journal entry, and the important thing you have to remember is that interest on debentures will be shown in the statement of profit and loss under the head finance cost. Okay, this is the important thing to be remembered. Okay, once again we will revise the thing. So journal entry for the interest on debenture will be written like this. If in the question nothing is mentioned regarding the tax, we can write the due entry as interest on debentures debtor to debenture holders. That means debenture interest is to be paid to debenture holders. That is the due entry at the time of due date of payment of interest. Okay, And when interest percentage along with interest tax percentage is also given, in that case you have to write the journal entry interest on debentures account debtor to debenture holders to TDS payable account. Okay. Now after passing this due entry, you have to remember that you have to pay the interest to debenture holders and TDS to the government. So first you can pass the journal entry for payment of interest to debenture holders. The journal entry will be debenture holders account debtor to bank. Then after that you can pass the journal entry for payment of TDS to government. The journal entry is TDS payable debtor to bank. Payment of TDS to government means tax will be given to the income tax department. So whatever tax deducted at source should be paid in installments to the income tax department. So then in income tax department we have to pay the tax. So we will write TDS payable debtor to bank. Okay, suppose we have told that normally the interest will be paid half yearly. Half yearly, sometimes that means twice in a year the interest will be given. Suppose if the total interest for the year is 50,000, then first 25,000 will be given at the end of the 6th month, and remaining 25,000 will be given at the end of the next 6th month. So whenever, if 2 times if the interest is paid, you have to pass the due entry and payment entry for interest and tax should be repeated. You have to pass 2 times. If the interest is paid twice in a year, you have to repeat the journal entry for due for interest and payment of interest and tax twice. It should be repeated. But the transfer of interest to statement of profit and loss need to be written only once, because profit and loss account will be prepared at the end of the year only. So at that time you have to write statement of profit and loss account debtor to interest on debentures. There you have to write the total of interest, 25,000 like that 2 times we have given. So we have to write here statement of profit and loss account debtor to interest on debentures account 50,000. Okay, so that's all regarding the journal entries for interest on debentures. Now let us solve a question. This speciality of this question is that here ignore TDS is given. Let us see the question. TS Limited issued 15,000 10% debentures of ₹100 each on 1st April 2019. See, interest rate is given 10% and debentures are 15,000 and face value is ₹100 and issued in its face value itself. The issue was fully subscribed, and according to the terms of issue, interest is payable half yearly basis. Okay, half yearly basis means April 1st it is started, so at the end of the 6th month will be September. First payment will be given on September and the next payment will be given on March, and you have to prepare the journal entries. So let us prepare that. Let us write the solution here. In the solution part, we have to write in the books of TS Limited, there is journal here. We can write the main headings of journal: date, particulars, LF, debit amount, credit amount. This and all you know. Now here ignore TDS, that is given here. So what we have to write? We have to write the first journal entry. What is the first journal entry? Yes, not the first journal entry here is not the interest. But here we have to write the journal entry for issue of debentures. That we know what is the journal entry for issue of debentures. Yes, first journal entry on receipt of debenture money, we will write it is receiving in lump sum, so we can write bank account debtor to debenture application and allotment. So on 2019 April 1st, journal entry bank account debtor to debenture application and allotment. To debenture application and allotment. What is the narration? Being debenture amount received for 15,000 debentures. It is 15,000 debentures at the rate of rupees 100. So 15,000 debentures are there at the rate of 100. So the amount will be 15 lakh. So 15 lakh we will write. Credit side also we have to write 15 lakh. Okay. Now this amount on the same date, the amount will be transferred into the capital. So date column we can give D to mark and debenture application and allotment debtor to debenture. Okay, and the amount is 15 lakh. $15 lakh can be written in the credit column also. Okay, so we can write the narration being amount, debenture amount is transferred to debenture capital. Okay, now that issue entry is over. What is the next journal entry? On due for interest on debentures. So interest on debentures we can write without considering tax. So first journal entry we will write interest on debentures account debtor to debenture holders. Interest on debentures account debtor to debenture holders. Journal entry narration being interest at the rate of 10% for half year is given. 1,50,000 will be there. So 1,50,000 into 1 by 2. Okay, so that we will get an amount of rupees 75,000. 1,50,000 into 1 by 2 because it is for 6 months. Then next, this amount is to be paid to the debenture holders. So on the same date, we will write the journal entry debenture holders account debtor to bank. Debenture holders account debtor to bank, and the narration is being half year interest is paid to the debenture holders. Amount 72,000. Clear? This much is this is the first installment, payment of the first installment, and the second installment we know that it will be paid on March 31st. So we can write the journal entry, date we can write 2020 March 31st. Same journal entry can be written interest on debentures account debtor to debenture holders. Same amount 75,000 each will be written. Okay, because 1,50,000 was the full amount of interest. Its half we have paid on 30th September and remaining half is paid at the end of the year, that is March 31st. So that payment entry we have to write next on the same date. Payment entry debenture holders account debtor to bank. how much? 75,000 each. So in both column we can write the amount 75,000. Okay. Now only one journal entry is left. What is that journal entry? At the end of the year, the total interest is to be transferred to statement of profit and loss. So the date again, it is on the last date of the year. So March 31st. Statement of profit and loss debtor to interest on debentures. So interest on debentures, you can write interest on debentures. This is for understanding purpose. I have written in bracket that it will be written under the head finance cost. The amount 75,000 plus 75,000, 1,50,000 we have to transfer, and the narration is being the debenture interest is transferred to statement of profit and loss. Okay, so this is the way of preparing journal when the tax is ignored. Tax on debenture is ignored. So like this, like that, every year we have to pass the journal entry. But here in our question, it was given for passing journal entries for the year ended March 2020. 1 year only is given. So we have prepared the journal entry for only 1 year. Company will prepare throughout the life of the debenture. Same journal entry will be prepared. Yes. Now let us solve a question by considering tax also. That means TDS also will be considered. So this is the question before you. MKP Limited issued 1,08,000 debentures of rupees 10 each on 1st April 2019. The issue was fully subscribed. In the term of issue of debentures, interest was payable half yearly on September 30th and March 31st every year. The same way we have discussed earlier also. Here it is given that TDS on interest was deducted at the rate of 10%. So 10% of the interest will be deducted as TDS payable. Past journal entries. So here also we will pass the journal entries for first year only. Okay. So as we know, we will write the solution here, and it is in the books of MKP Limited. We have journal and should enter all the proper headings. And first journal entry, you know that we have to write the journal entry for the issue of debentures. If in the question it was asked to pass journal entries for the interest only, you need to write the interest journal entries only and not the journal entry for issue of debentures. But here it is not mentioned like that. We have to write the journal entry for the interest and issue of debentures. So first issue of debentures 2019 April 1st. Journal entry we know, bank account debtor to debenture application and allotment. Okay, 1 lakh debenture issued at rupees 10 each. So the amount 10 lakh each can be written here. Then what is the next journal entry? This amount will be transferred to debenture capital. So the journal entry will be debenture application and allotment debtor to debenture. Instead of debenture, you can write even to debenture capital account also, because this amount will be transferred to debenture capital. Amount 10 lakh each. Okay. Now the next journal entry for the due entry for interest. Here interest is to be written by considering the tax also. So on September 30th, the journal entry to be written is interest on debentures account debtor. How much interest on debentures? 10 lakh into 8%. That means 80,000. its half, that is 40,000. So 40,000 interest on debentures. Then out of that payment to the debenture holders, we have to write. Then before that, let us see how much to be transferred to tax TDS payable. How much? 10% is the tax. So 40,000 into 10%. That means 4,000 we have to pay to the government. Remaining how much is there for the debenture holders? Yes, 90%. That means 36,000. So this is the way of writing the due entry if there is tax on interest on debentures. Okay. Being interest at the rate of 8% for half year, that is 10 lakh is the face value into 8% is the interest into half. That means for half year. That is due. And on the same date it should be paid to the debenture holders. How much will be paid? For the debenture holders, we have only 36,000 to pay. Remaining is paid to government. Need to be paid. So debenture holders debtor 36,000, to bank again 36,000, right? Being half year interest is paid to the debenture holders. Then let us see the next January. On the same date, we have to pay the remaining amount to the government. So TDS payable debtor to bank. Okay. How much? 4,000 will be paid. And the narration being TDS deposited to government's account. That means income tax department. So first installment is over. Again, second installment will be paid at the end of the year. So end of the year is 31st March 2020. Date is given and should write the same journal entry here also. That means interest on debentures debtor. How much? 40,000 is the total amount. Then to debenture holders 36,000, only 90% of the 40,000 rupees, and remaining 10%, that is 4,000, will be given to the government. So narration is being interest at the rate of 8% for half year is paid to the is due. Then on the same date we have to write the journal entry for the payment of amount to the debenture holders. We know the journal entry, debenture holders account debtor 36,000, to bank 36,000, and the narration being half year interest is paid to the debenture holders. Then as usual the remaining amount, that is TDS payable, to be given to income tax department. TDS payable debtor to bank. Okay. And narration being TDS deposited to government's account. So what is the next journal entry? One journal entry is left. Yes. At the end of the year we will prepare the statement of profit and loss, and their interest is to be transferred. So the journal entry is statement of profit and loss debtor to interest on debentures. It will be shown under the head finance cost. So how much is the total interest? Total interest is 80,000. So statement of profit and loss debtor 80,000 to interest on debentures again 80,000. So that's all. So this is the way of preparing journal entries for the issue, for the treatment of interest on loan. Okay, I hope all of you understood this. You can revise this video once again. If you want, you can go through the problems and make it thorough, and after that you can solve some reference questions also. Okay, thank you very much.